Story 1. Am I the a-hole here for telling my mom that I don't care if my twin is uninvited from Christmas Eve? First, want to apologize for formatting. I'm on my phone, not a computer. But for context, my 24 female twin and I haven't talked to each other in almost 6 years. We were never super close, but had a falling out during my freshman year of college. They up and decided to just move out. No warning, no explanation, didn't even take all of their stuff, and left me at home to tell everyone they left and weren't coming back. A few days prior, they had also thought it was a good idea to tell me I was the reason for their depression, because I did well in school and sports, and they had to work a little harder to do well, and go on Facebook telling lies of how my parents abused them. They definitely did not. We lived in a very small house and I was there all the time. My parents are the most loving and caring people in the world. My twin just didn't like being told they couldn't lay in bed all day and that they had responsibilities they needed to get done. And that I was a homophobic woman because they asked if I had thought Laverne Cox was hot. I said no because I am straight. I don't think that makes me homophobic. Maybe I'm just not well versed, but just because I don't find someone attractive doesn't mean I'm homophobic. I'll also add, I have several friends in the LGBTQ community. I love them and support them always. So it all was just very upsetting. They were spreading lies that fit their narrative, and I just wasn't going to stand for it. They have hurt my mom so much with how they treat her and take advantage of her kindness. My mom has paid for their rent on several occasions because my twin can't keep a job, buys them groceries, and in my opinion, they just don't seem grateful. You'll sit there and spew lies about her, but then turn around and ask for money. I think that's so crappy. But now for the reason I'm here. Every Christmas Eve, we go to a family friend's house and do presents. My mom called me a few days ago and asked me to talk to my twin if they talk to me and engage conversation with them, so it didn't make the situation awkward. I said no. The family friend had told my mom they had considered uninviting my twin, so it wasn't a weird vibe the whole time. She told me that if my twin was uninvited, she wouldn't go either. And I told her that if they are uninvited, it's of their own doing. They are the ones responsible for their actions, and it's them who need to face the consequences, not us. She went on about how it's not fair and this and that, but I said I'm not going to break my boundaries for the comfort of others. It's their fault it's like this. I have never even gotten an apology. So if they don't end up going, it's no skin off my back. I'd honestly rather them not go. I'd honestly have a better time if my twin wasn't there. So, I wanted to know, am I the a-hole here for telling my mom I didn't care if my twin was uninvited? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Your twin sounds awful. I understand your mom's point because it is her child, but at some point there has to be responsibility and acceptance of consequences of their actions. I don't think your mom is an a-hole, but she sounds like she's enabling your twin. Is there a history of mental illness from your twin? Yeah, she sounds infuriating. Definitely not the a-hole. You need to enjoy Christmas. Honestly, I think people forget that mental health isn't just something you get over. Like, we need to stop acting like it's just about willpower. It's a huge part of who we are, and it's okay to take time for yourself instead of forcing yourself to move on or get better. Just my 2 cents. But I really think we need more understanding and less judgment when it comes to mental health struggles. I agree and disagree. Yes, people need to be more understanding of mental health struggles because it is no fault of the afflicted that we're born with extra challenges. But even if it's not your fault, it is your responsibility. If someone with diabetes wasn't monitoring their sugar levels and had adverse consequences, it would be appropriate to be sympathetic, but also call them on it. If someone in a manic state says hurtful crap and behaves destructively, it is their responsibility to make amends and apologize. It sucks that the sister is sick, but there's nothing in the post to suggest she's seeking any kind of help or treatment. It's appropriate to be understanding of her situation, but that doesn't mean tolerating her rude behavior. Totally agree with this. She does have some mental health issues, but instead of trying to find coping mechanisms or ways to help herself, she instead uses as a reason why she can't do things, and then asks my mom for financial help. In my opinion, if your mental health is so bad to the point you can't keep a job, you need to reevaluate if you can afford living on your own. If that is the issue, then I think she needs to move back into my mom's house. And I don't think it's fair to blame others for your own struggles. They are not my fault. And it's her responsibility to reach out and try to amend all the relationships she destroyed. 100% this. OP. But if she's consistently mean to your mom, is there anywhere else she could go? Maybe mom could pay for rehab? Sounds like she needs it. Not the a-hole. Your twin has burned their bridge with you. As long as you do not make a scene, you are free to ignore them. The guest list is up to host. Attendance is up to the invitee. Not the a-hole, you're is twin horrible, and your mother is an enabler. As soon as you can create your own family and life, your mother can respect your boundaries or step back. It is her choice. Her desperation to have your twin back is skewing her view. It broke my mom's heart to go no contact with my eldest sister. It broke our hearts to see how our eldest sister would purposely hurt and manipulate our mom. First of all, you have to understand that kids can have very different experiences in a house that they are raised with the same parents. One can be treated well, and one can be abused, and you can't say it didn't happen because you didn't see it. It happens all the time. I am not saying your sister was abused. I am saying you can't say it's impossible, because that wasn't your experience. That said, your sister made a decision to go NC with you years ago for whatever reason. You don't have to speak to and engage with her so others feel comfortable. If she wants a relationship, then she needs to reach out and try to build one, and you get to decide if she's the type of person you want in your life. You get to have choices too, not the a-hole. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister I didn't get her pregnant? Edit. Didn't know how weird the title was? Sorry. My sister, 17 female, is giving me a hard time, and it's quite annoying because she acts like people are supposed to do what she says, but that's not right. If I don't listen to her, then she will get mad and try to gaslight me. Opus 16 female. Backstory. My sister got pregnant by her boyfriend, 22 male, or whatever she wants to call him. I think their relationship is gross. I was shocked because she's still young. Our parents were mad at her and still are. My mom wanted my sister to finish school, but she dropped out instead. I wished she finished because she had 1 year left. This wasn't good though. My mom told my sister that she is the one responsible for the baby, and she will not be helping. She meant it because even though she's a grandma, she wasn't helping. My mom told my sister her boyfriend should be helping since he's the father. Yes, she holds the baby sometimes to soothe him. She's still strict on my sister. My mom told my sister if she doesn't stop seeing her boyfriend, then she won't help, and she meant it. My mom was going to charge him, but my sister puts up a fight. I feel like if my sister stopped trying to call him, then my mom would help. Back to what I was saying, after the baby came, her whole personality changed. At first, she didn't even want the baby. She was refusing to feed him, and he's only a week old. She feeds him every day and changes him, but whenever I'm about to do something, she wants to call me so she can nap. I would help fed him and bathe him sometimes, but she started to overdo. I felt like the parent. She gets mad at everyone. She verbally abused me by saying hurtful stuff to me. Last week, she told me I should die. Like, imagine your own sister saying that to you. Her boyfriend doesn't contact to see the baby even though she calls him 1,000,000 times. I've been trying to have a good Christmas break, but my sister is here. I was going to stay home, but I decided I was going ice skating with my friends. When my sister heeded I was leaving, she rushed to boss me. She told me I should change the baby diaper and fill up the bottles, but that wasn't my job. I did not want to spend my Christmas break taking care of a baby. I told her she should do it because I have somewhere to be. That's when she told me I'm the aunt, so I shouldn't complain. I didn't like how she tried to use that tried. I told her I didn't get her pregnant, and it's the father job also. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Not your baby, not your problem. Your sister isn't the boss of you. She's a mother now and needs to take her BF or whatever to court for paternity, child support, and visitation. He might also get into trouble for knocking up a minor, depending on where they live. Good. That's when she told me I'm the aunt, so I shouldn't complain. Huh? No. She doesn't become the boss of you by getting pregnant and having a baby. Go skating. Not the a-hole. Your sister is being manipulative and unfair, expecting you to take on her responsibilities while treating you poorly. You deserve to enjoy your time without being guilt-tripped. Setting boundaries is key. On top of that, this is a situation where if the younger sister does allow herself to be bossed around, the older sister will continue. It's fine to help if you want to. That should include when you want to. And there are situations where there might be an urgent need, and not helping would put the baby at risk of death or physical injury. Then you do rush to help during that specific event. Changing the baby diaper or filling up bottles is not such a situation. If it takes teen mom a few extra minutes or even a half hour to do that because lil sis isn't there to help, well, okay. The younger sister should definitely go skating. Not the a-hole, not your circus. Why haven't your parents pressed charges against the boyfriend? He RP a minor and got her pregnant. That's the thing. My mom and my sister fought about their relationship. My mom didn't like it, but my sister would threat my mom that she will run away, even a physical fight because my sister wanted to be with him. I think their relationship age gap is gross. She needs to put the baby up for adoption. It will only get worse, and the baby will suffer. Not the a-hole. When you do adult things like have a baby, that comes with adult responsibilities. Her baby, her responsibility. Anyone else who helps is doing just that, helping out. Because they want to, not because they have to. If she needs help, she needs to do that. Go to court, get child support, or reach out to community resources for help with childcare. I will just say that postpartum depression, anxiety, is a real thing, and it's not your responsibility to care for the baby, especially instead of her or your parents. But if you feel like her whole personality has changed and she's not her normal self, she may need mental health support too. All of that should be up to your parents. She's their kid, not yours. You may need to call Child Protective Service. You are correct, and that it is not your job or your mother's job to care for this baby. However, this is still an innocent newborn who needs to eat and be changed on a very, very regular basis. If that is not happening, and the baby is not being cared for, call CPS. I do not say this lightly, but you do not want to find out that this baby starved to death. Also, I would tell your mother to file a police report against the father of this child, because regardless of what your sister says, that is still RP of a minor. Story 3. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give up my front row spot at a concert to someone claiming to be disabled? A couple of weeks ago, I traveled to another country to see an artist I've been a fan of for 6 years. This was a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me, and I'd been waiting months for it. I sacrificed a lot financially and mentally to make it happen. Since it was my first, and probably only time seeing them, I went all out. I bought general admission tickets and arrived at the queue at 5 a.m., even though the doors wouldn't open until 6:37 p.m., in freezing cold weather. I waited all day, hungry, cold, and dehydrated, but it was worth it because when the doors opened, I secured a front row barricade spot right up against the stage. This was my dream spot. Then, a guy behind me tapped me on the shoulder and told me he was disabled. He said the venue was supposed to let disabled attendees in early, but they hadn't. He asked me to give him my spot at the barricade. Here's the thing. I know this venue is very accommodating for disabled attendees. I actually have friends with disabilities who've gone to shows here, and the staff always ensures they get to the front row safely during a designated time frame before it gets too crowded. Now, I'm a very short person, 155 cm or 5'1", and this guy was extremely tall, easily over 5'5". If I gave him my spot, I wouldn't be able to see anything at all because he would completely block my view. I honestly would have been willing to move if he wasn't so tall, or if I could still see from the second row. However, in this case, I knew I'd lose the view I had waited more than 10 hours for. I tried to compromise. I pointed out that the right side of the barricade was still open and suggested he go there. Since he's so tall, he'd still have a great view and could hold on to the rail for support. However, he refused, saying the view wasn't as good as where I was. While we were talking, that section filled up, and he became more insistent. He said he'd have a hard time if he couldn't take my spot. At this point, I got frustrated and explained, if his disability was that serious, he should be in the accessible section, which is specifically designed for attendees with disabilities. If he insisted on being in the standing section, he should have brought a support aid, like a cane. I'd seen someone nearby with one. If he spoke to security, they could escort him to the front row disabled seating, which has a fantastic view and is much more accommodating. After hearing this, he called me an eye-hole, told me to get F, and left. I feel like he just wanted my spot and wasn't being truthful. The venue offers several options for disabled attendees, and I tried to direct him to alternatives. I feel bad for saying no, but I don't think it was fair for him to ask me to sacrifice my entire experience. So am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. I find it strange that he zeroed in on you and only you and he didn't ask, demand anyone else move. Not the a-hole. I mean, he looked around a bit, but only talked to me. You mentioned you're shorter. I'm assuming he thought you looked like an easier target to get with his bullcrap sob story. I'm glad you were familiar enough with the venue to be able to tell him off with factual information that made him look dumb for trying to steal your spot. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. As someone who is disabled, I call venues ahead about the accommodations I need, and it's usually worked out for me at no charge here in Washington State in the US, a seat somewhere so I can sit and enjoy the music. The seat is reserved with my name on it, and I have to show ID to get it. I am not sure what the man's disability was, but he should have asked venue staff for assistance rather than trying to force the issue with you. My mom needs a wheelchair to get around. She can stand and walk, but only short distances. She has also become a huge fan of a band and goes to see them whenever they're somewhere nearby. She definitely will call venues to ensure they can accommodate her and will pay extra if needed to get the seats she wants. Not the a-hole op. You are most likely right that this guy was making up the whole disabled bit for pity seats, since someone disabled is well aware of their limitations and will go the extra mile to make sure their outing goes off as smoothly as they can. And if he wasn't lying, then that's on him for not getting in at the proper time. Very telling that he wanted your prime spot and didn't take the options you pointed out when they were available and instead wasted time arguing with you. Not the a-hole. The moment he didn't want the other spot to the right you suggested, because the view from your spot was better, made it clear he just wanted to grab the best spot from you. I had people try that with me in similar situations. I had waited hours and secured front row center by using their kids as blackmail. Didn't work on me either. If you come with your kid and think they need to stand in front row, make sure to come earlier. Don't shove your way to the front shortly before the show starts to try to guilt-trip people into letting you take their spot. As someone who has done the exact same thing to see my favorite band, he was scamming you. See it all the time. Along with, my friend is holding my spot up front. Can I just squeeze in next to you? Can I just reach past you and grab the barricade with my hand? Once the music starts and there's a push forward, these types will literally try and elbow, push, or crowd you out of the way. That's why the general stance is to stand with feet apart and cross your arms to rest on the barricade. Don't let go. Don't stand back with just your hands resting on it. They look for weak spots to wedge in, so don't give it to them. LOL, yes, it's like a contact sport. Exactly this. Barrier life is rough. Protect what you earned. Not the a-hole. Disabled people must present a disability ID. You can't just stand on a disabled queue and enter the disabled section without showing a valid disability ID. If he was really disabled, he could just show you his ID like he would at the special queue. And his stupid excuse that he would be entering the venue earlier is also false. Disabled people has designated area where no one, even those who come early as you can enter. He tried to scam you into giving up your premium spot, nothing else. Lousy liar. Story 4. Am I the a-hole here for refusing to let my brother-in-law move into our guest house after he screwed us over financially? My husband and I have a small guest house on our property that we rent out for extra income. A couple of years ago, my brother-in-law, his brother, approached us asking to borrow $10,000 to cover some debts. He was desperate, and we wanted to help, So we lent him the money with the agreement he'd pay us back within a year. Fast forward 2 years, and he hasn't paid us a cent. He avoids the topic every time it's brought up, and even had the audacity to take a trip to Cancun recently. My husband and I had an argument about this because I'm angry he's not holding his brother accountable. Now, the tenant in the guest house recently moved out, and my brother-in-law suddenly wants to move in. He claims he's struggling financially and needs a place to stay for a few months. I flat out refused. I don't trust him to pay rent, and honestly, I'm still furious about the $10,000 he hasn't repaid. My husband thinks I'm being too harsh, saying it's family and we should help him out. But I feel like he's taken advantage of us enough already. I told my husband if he wants his brother to move in, he can either pay us back the $10K first or sign an agreement with consequences for not paying rent. My husband says I'm being unreasonable and cold-hearted. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let him move in without clear terms? Now for the comments. Kiss those $10K goodbye, and if you let that mooch move in, it won't be for a few months. You will have a lifelong non-paying tenant. Not the a-hole. Exactly. If he hasn't paid back the $10,000, there's no chance he'll stick to any agreement about rent. Letting him move in would just be asking for more stress and financial losses. Better to cut the losses now. You can rent it out, but we will need a $10K non-refundable upfront application fee. If you pass the application process, we can talk about it. My husband thinks I'm being too harsh, saying it's family and we should help him out. We did. We gave him $10K. For context, the $10K wasn't something we had lying around. It came from our savings for a new car and home improvements. We didn't have kids at the time, but now we do, and finances are tighter. My husband keeps brushing it off, saying his brother will figure it out eventually, but I feel like we're just enabling him to keep taking advantage of us. I'm standing my ground, but now I'm wondering if I'm being too rigid about this. Not the a-hole. Nope. This is a hard boundary and a hill I would die on. Trust and respect is earned, not given freely just because it's family. Exactly, just because he is family doesn't mean he gets a pass. He should be held accountable and face consequences if he ever gonna be responsible. Family shouldn't be a free pass for bad behavior. It's healthy to have boundaries. Without them, he'll never learn to be responsible with money.
Thank you for listening. If you like the video, consider like and subscribe. If you want more stories like these, turn on your notification to receive the latest stories.